Welcome back to Collect Your Thoughts. Today we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, play. We talk about the importance of play, some ways that we use it in therapy sessions, and the impact that it can have on children, teens, and even us as adults.
Plus, we are going to deep dive into some of our favorite associations and memories around play, as well as tips on how to make it a part of your everyday life, no matter how old you are.
And we even have a special guest today, one of our resident registered play therapists, Elise Lunsford. She's from our practice, the Bentonville Counseling Collective. So take your shoes off, grab your favorite toy, and come play with us. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our episode on play. I'm Jason LeCompte, a licensed professional counselor.
And I'm Sean Millhouse, licensed professional counselor.
And we have with us today our special guest, Elise Lunsford. Elise, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Elise Lunsford. I'm a licensed professional counselor supervisor like Jason, but he just doesn't say that. And registered play therapy supervisor as well.
Nice. Our resident registered play therapist.
A play
supervisor. Yes. Yeah, we're super excited to have you on. Thanks for coming today.
Thanks for
I've
having
only
me.
been begging since the beginning, but you finally, I wore you down. I wore you down, and you're here now.
I think actually, Sean, I suspect you goaded her into this with treats, just like she does with Biscuit. She just kind of gives,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
No,
Biscuit is Elise's dog, by the way.
Exactly. I'm just going to say that. Yeah.
Okay,
Everyone
sorry.
who doesn't know.
To be fair, I think I was intimidated initially, and then I started like fangirling on y'all hard, listening to all your podcasts, driving to work and stuff, and then I like find myself yelling at you guys, like trying to jump in on the conversation. So I'm like, okay, now I'm ready.
So now you're officially jumping in.
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
Yay.
Yeah.
Just
I'm
like
so
you
happy.
would. Yeah. Just like you would at work or
Mhm.
around a campfire or whatever. Right. So,
Yes.
yeah.
And we
Awesome.
also wanted to show that the women of our private practice actually do like us.
Exist. And they
And
exist.
exist.
Yeah, we're
Yes.
here. We're actually
Yes.
here. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not just a
So
bunch of
thanks
gay
for
boys.
representing.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, Elise, would you tell us a little bit maybe about your background, just so we kind of understand what you do and maybe a little of how you do it?
Yes. I started shadowing an art therapist here. Went to undergrad here at the U of A. And my professor talked about art therapy because they knew I loved art. And so then I researched places. I went to George Washington and DC for art therapy with a trauma specialty, basically. And then I moved back. And from then, I worked in foster care for 9 years. And I worked with a lot of little kids, like starting at age 3. And even though I was an art therapist, I fell completely out of my depth. And a lot of other therapists were like, do a worksheet with them or teach them thought stopping skills. And I was like, have you seen my clients? Like, they're not going to sit and do that with me for 50
with
minutes.
a 3-year-old? Like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Yeah.
So I was really lucky, actually, that my assigned supervisor was a registered play therapist, Doris. Love her.
Doris.
And so she was like, you need to be playing with these kids. And I was like, I don't have any training yet. She's like, I got you. I'll start.
Say less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then she gave me supervision on play therapy, and then I went to the U of A to get all of my CEUs that I needed for the accreditation. And the rest is kind of history. I wouldn't see myself not using play, like, at all. Like, I don't think I would love my job as much if I wasn't using play every day. So
Kind of, like at all. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
you use play with children and adolescents too?
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. What about adults?
And I would say, yeah, too, with adults, it looks different. You know, the medium is still play, but the content looks a little different. So kind of like you guys were talking on the laughter podcast about humor
Mm.
with adults. So I think that's a really big deal for my work. I'm probably always laughing with my clients in every session.
Yeah.
It usually
Yeah.
isn't where we go a whole hour without laughing, you know.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just, I mean, like you heard, Sean and I, we're very similar to the both of us. So
Yeah.
that's really cool. I want to hear more about that. We'll get into it a little bit more as we kind of explore through some of these things, but that's really cool to hear that it works with adults too. And I don't know that I would have ever thought about it as humor or laughter, but I mean, sure, why not? Play is fun, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, of course. All right, cool. I'm going to give just a quick definition just so we kind of know what we're talking about. Play is an activity or mindset characterized by spontaneity, imagination, and intrinsic motivation. It's done for its own sake, often with joy, curiosity, or exploration, and it's not necessarily with a defined goal or outcome. Also, in therapy and developmental psychology, play is also recognized as a fundamental way that humans learn, process emotions, practice relationships, and create meaning. Any of those resonate for you, like those things? Creating meaning stands out for me, and I don't know that I would have attached play to creating meaning, but I mean, I feel like, yeah, that makes sense to me. What about you guys?
I think that it makes a lot of sense. I don't know if I ever characterized it as meaning, but when I think about it, like imagination is at the core of play,
Yeah.
and imagination helped inform how I think about things and create meaning from it because of my ability to go outside the box and then imagine what it could be like if I did this or that when I'm playing a game, or memories I have as a kid of my imagination around play. So I like that definition a lot. It really does, when I think about it, absolutely ring true for me.
Yeah. I know the way that humans learn, like if I think about just my personal association with learning things, like I have, and I've talked about this in other episodes, but a background in theater. So when I ever have to learn lines, I find that when I am performing the scene, when I'm walking through early staging, early blocking of scenes, the lines start to cement better, quicker, because they seem to be synced with movement and placement and interaction with other humans. And so I tell you from personal experience that playing on a stage actually helps me learn my lines better than just sitting and trying to commit them to memory in a notebook.
It's so interesting that you say that, Jason, because there's a lot of psychology theorists out there that talk about play, and they say
Yeah.
one of the biggest things is it's a rehearsal for life. So
Mm.
play,
So literal rehearsal.
yeah, we are
But also,
doing
yeah.
the thing, just like
Yeah.
animals in the animal kingdom,
Sure.
babies play and learn how to hunt and watch their parents and do the things. We are doing the things and practicing and rehearsing and preparing for what's going to happen in life. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
Wow.
I forgot to say I got the privilege to go to South Africa in grad school, and we
Wow.
got to tag
Oh.
along with the drama department and the
Yeah.
students, and we're working with some at-risk adults, and they have a recurring program. I think it's every year, but they teach the students that come in drama, and they put plays on at the end of the summer, and
Huh.
it's drama therapy-esque. They're not therapists doing it, but
Okay.
it was
Okay.
very, very cool. And it reminded me
Sure.
of your work, Jason, acting. I know there's production at the end usually of a play, but to me, the whole setup and rehearsal and practice and doing
Yeah.
the thing together with your full cast,
Yeah.
that feels like group play therapy to me. I don't know what it
That's
feels
awesome.
like for you, but like
Sure.
it sounds like it would be fun and exciting, and there's like attunement happening with lots of different people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I want to hear more about group play therapy as we continue this. But I mean, that's absolutely how I experience it in the theater. I mean, we're all hanging out and we're all creating this thing together, and we're all emoting and we're relating, and so yeah, it's absolutely like group play therapy. I just hadn't ever thought of it that way. Yeah.
I don't think I
Nice.
even realized there was group play therapy. I was ignorant to that.
That's some of my favorite format.
Isn't that-
actually.
Are you
Isn't
able
it-
to do it? Like,
I will
do you
do
regularly
it with
do it?
families and sometimes cousins or siblings.
Ooh, wow.
In some
That's really cool.
settings, like they
Yeah.
considered, like in foster care, could be multiple kids, all kind of like family, And so
Sure.
we could do like family play therapy that way. And that was really rewarding.
That's really cool.
My first thought was, isn't that just called recess?
It can be very chaotic. Yes.
But sure, yeah.
Yes.
I
But
would
then you
imagine.
have the Wrangler therapist and Elise that
Right,
helps to
exactly.
bring the therapeutic value.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, so I thought it might be fun to talk about like our personal associations to play, like how do each of us play as people, as adults, not necessarily as therapists. Sean, you want to share?
I definitely think, like I said in an earlier episode, silliness is something that's really important to me.
Yeah.
And so being playful, like I don't think I really think about, I'm going to go and play, but it is just a part of my favorite relationships and my favorite things that I do. I want to give a big shout out to our girl at the collective, Rebecca. I think she is one of the most playful people, and so the two of us can get really ridiculous, and it's just this back and forth, like making weird noises and being silly and doing dumb pranks and things like that really it makes life feel less serious, and it breaks up that feeling of, oh gosh, how am I going to get through, because you can just return to play and sort of make all that go away, and that's such a awesome feeling.
Yeah, I love that. What about you, Elise?
I mean, jumping off of what Sean's saying, sometimes I wish we could have a fly on the wall. When
I'd be terrified.
That would be, wow. Yeah.
That sounds risky. Sorry, maybe that's too much. But, because we're in a group, I think it's so fantastic. And in between sessions, when we actually do get time together and we're not just passing ships in the night, my favorite thing is like when Sean and Rebecca go into British accents.
Oh my gosh.
And they
I
just
don't know
have
what you're
full-on
talking about.
conversations. Yes. They just have full-on conversations about the most ridiculous stuff. And I can ask a question and then they will like improv off of that and then start talking about that. It's so great.
Yeah.
And not to mention our meetings. Like if we
Oh,
have
meetings
multiple
can be
people
off the chain sometimes.
Yeah,
Unhinged.
it goes off the rail. The train is gone. But it's in a good way. It's like
Sure.
we need that.
Yeah.
And to me,
Depends on
that's
who you ask.
well, productivity and play are, so as far as playtime, it's good for us. And I think it's those times are really great because then we get to like co-regulate and like reattune with each other. And then I don't know about you guys, but I feel always more cohesive as a group after those times.
Yeah. It's so funny. Yeah. Well, we're going to dive more into that. I hadn't ever thought about that dynamic in our group as being co-regulatory or co-attuning, which is really cool. That's really cool to talk about. So I want to save that for a little bit later, but that's excellent. Yeah.
And speaking on that part, like you have to feel emotionally safe to be able to play. So if you are not really vibing with somebody or they feel threatening, you're not going to let your guard down enough to relax to play. So I think that part is really big for us and for our clients. Like I kind of use it as an assessment tool. Like where is our guardedness in a session? Are they relaxed enough to play?
Yeah.
That's great.
And then like tracking progress too, like.
Wow. I'm 100% going to be learning stuff today. This is actually cool. This is really cool. Yeah.
Other ways that I play, I think yoga is very playful.
Yeah, sure.
You make fun of yourself all the time and you try things and you experiment and you fall. And rock climbing as well. I think there's like active problem solving that happens with it and trying and failing and trying again and that sort of thing. And it's intrinsically motivated for me. Like I just want to try to see if I can do this thing and it doesn't, nothing else matters, So,
right. Just to try it, just a personal challenge. Yeah.
And you guys
That's
saw
cool.
Biscuit earlier. I played a lot with my dog. Nick and I, my husband, Nick, we actually do voice acting for Biscuit. And so we will play his voice when it's the three of us. It's fantastic. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of dog owners do that. Like my bestie Lori and her husband Russell, they'll like have these hilarious back and forths of like what they're like, Dad, why are you doing that? Like, come play with me. Like,
yes,
just really cute stuff like that. But I also wanted to say, Elise, that when I think about you, I really want to just make sure people understand how much play it's not just part of your therapist role. Like, you truly bring toys with you to places, and we'll be watching
real.
movies at my house. Elise is just working on these little vignettes with their toys, and it's so cute and it's so elaborate and sweet, and it's just very endearing. So it really is something you live.
Yes. I like to think I'm a playful person. I'm just obsessed with
Yes.
it. I love
Yeah.
it.
And
I'm
it
gl-
shows. I mean, that's why
Thanks.
you're so great with your clients.
Yeah. I'm glad that I found a job where it really matches with
Mm.
how I try to live my life, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Sure.
It's one of my favorite parts of being an uncle is getting to play, like
Yes.
literally just be 10 years old again and
Mhm.
splash around in the pool or be silly. And, you know, also, it's definitely, it's fun. And
You
it's
are really good with kids,
connective.
Jason. Like,
Thanks,
it's
yeah.
very sweet to see you like interact with little kids. Like, you're just natural with it.
Part of me is still a little kid. Like I can still
Mhm.
access something inside of me and just get down on the floor and be 7 years old or 10 years old or, you know, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks. It's something I really like. I really enjoy. So
I think some people are more naturally inclined to fall into play than other people, and I think for different barriers and reasons that we can get into.
Sure.
But you know, like my brother and sister-in-law will be like, "Are you sure?" Like, and I've been playing with my nephews for 6 hours playing cards, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Like,
We're
I'll do this all
totally
day.
good over here.
Yeah. I don't
Go
need a break.
go do what you're gonna do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but
awesome.
definitely playing with kids, it's very easy to just bring it out and just
Mhm.
be goofy and silly.
Well, and I think you win coolness points with them.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
that's something I
totally.
love seeing. When you, I
Yeah.
feel like even as an adult, even like, I will say this, as everybody knows, like I'm like,
Mm.
ugh, kids all the time. But when a kid like takes to liking me for some reason, or they don't
Mhm.
like whatever, I'm just always like, oh my God, I'm kind of cool. Like for 3 seconds, I'm like, oh, like it's still something inherent in me that wants other kids to like me.
Sure.
So it's really interesting. But I imagine you're just like, both of you are just delights with kids.
I mean,
I
but
think
also I like being like awesome in their eyes. Like that's cool too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going back to quickly the feeling safe comment. Like I feel like I had some good role models growing up
Mhm.
for adults being silly. Like I had uncles and older cousins and even my parents on occasion. Like we just played. Like we did silly voices and we roughhoused and we threw balls around and like I just played with adults growing up. And so I feel like as an adult, I get to. Maybe that was an example that was set for me, but it's something I truly enjoy it. So like, why would I try and be serious or stuffy or, you know what I mean? Like that just seems, I don't know, antithetical to who I am. Yeah.
I was lucky enough that both of my parents are very silly. My dad is a huge goofball, known in the family as that. So that was always part of my day-to-day growing up. And then I have a huge family on my dad's side, and I'm the only girl. So I'm surrounded by so many boys, and I never had a chance that I wasn't going to grow up like rough and tumble play.
Sure.
And mud and skin knees and all that stuff. So yeah,
that tracks. That's
Yes.
something about.
This
I
is
know
on
not everyone
brand.
listening knows Elise that well, but like that is definitely on brand for Elise. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really great.
Yeah, you're usually on the ground at some point. Like
Absolutely.
you're ready. Like either you're rolling around, you're lying down, you're like, you're
Getting
you are truly
dirty
down.
something,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
It's so
All
cute.
our
awesome.
family pictures, I'm on the ground.
You're gonna be like 96 and still be like, hey kids.
It helps with
Grandma Elise.
aging.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
I'm sure.
I agree.
Yeah. All right, let's get into a little bit of some background, some history, and maybe psychological relevance. And again, Elise is our resident expert. I might ask you to weigh in on some of these early gurus, some of these founders, but also just kind of maybe your perspective on some of their perspectives. I think that'd be useful. So we saw early on Piaget. Jean Piaget, he was very influential in the development of the industry of psychology. He saw play as central to cognitive development, that children move from sensory motor play to symbolic and rule-based play. Elise, could you speak to that a little bit? What's that movement from sensory motor play to symbolic or rule-based?
Yeah, I think as babies, we are just taking in information through our senses. We're trying to get our needs met by our caretakers, but we're only exploring. And I think it's really cool that when you're born, our brains are not really wired with synapse connections yet. And all of that learning and building happens through relational experiences. So that's just, I don't know, cool for
So
me to think
literally
about.
brain cells, neurons are just sort of sitting isolated.
Yeah,
and
they're
then as
just
we
ready.
play,
We're
we start
primed.
to,
We're
Yeah.
designed that they're going to connect with our relational experiences, but like that's the golden ticket that makes it happen. So we're literally learning from day one through our
Yeah.
experiences and through our play. So for
Okay.
kids. And then when we're older, then we're starting to get more cognitive systems online and
Okay.
then more rule-based, more reality-based. Fairness comes into play, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's an example of like a symbolic play or rule-based play?
Yeah. So, I'm thinking about in the play therapy room, but like rule-based play is like it needs to be this way. There's rule and structures where we're going to
Okay.
play this game. What's fair? What's not fair?
Yeah.
Kids will be at a certain age when they're older when that's super important, but when they're younger, not necessarily. But then symbolic
Okay.
play is basically metaphorical, where like something stands in the place of something else. Like this
Okay.
phone is actually a magic wand, or this thing is something else. And so we're going to play pretend and there's going to be monsters. And then that
Yeah.
can stand in place for anything else in the kid's life. I think the cool part with play with little kids is it's the rehearsal again, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
Watching their parents or their caregivers around them, they're imitating everything their parents and caregivers do because that's how they learn about their environment and themselves. So they're practicing everything that they see modeled for them.
Yeah. Wow, that is fascinating.
Mhm.
Everything that I learn about play in terms of psychology and just human development, it always blows me away. Like it seems so simplistic, right? We're talking about a 4-letter simple word that everyone has done, play, and it's essential to how we grow into humans and how we learn to relate and how we navigate the world and all the things, right? Yeah. It's just fascinating to me. It's really cool.
I was looking at some, old texts from school before this, and it was really interesting that play, it's been around forever, right? As long as humans have been around, play has been around. But in the Victorian era, play was starting to be seen as frivolous and unserious. And so then there was a big push to make it productivity based or goal based after. So like we went from it being regular, normal to restricted. And then now I think we're just getting back like the last 10, 20 years, maybe and more with neuroscience coming out, that we're really understanding this is an integral part. It's not a frivolous thing.
Yeah. Not a history person,
Yeah.
but I remember seeing like early drawings or historical drawings of like things like racket sports. Like
Yes. And then sports came online because
and
they
then
were
sports
more
get-
productivity goal based.
There we go.
Yeah.
Achievement based, like I'm going to win, like that kind of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what play became. Yeah. That's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We've got a couple other ones here in terms of our history of psychology. So Lev Vygotsky emphasized how play supports social and emotional development. So we talked a little bit about that. Maybe Sean, do you want to weigh in a little bit about like, do you remember your own emotional development, or maybe you had cousins or siblings or whatever? Like, do you remember like learning, developing emotions, having first experiences like while playing?
I might be the wrong person to ask because I have the worst memory.
Okay.
I really hate that. But like, I mean,
I actually have one. If you don't,
please
like,
do.
I have an
Because
example of this.
that's coming.
I remember. So I played basketball a lot growing up, and I started in like the 4th grade. So I was like 8 or 9 years old. Like was really really early. But I remember having friends that I played with, and this was actually during a practice. one of my really good friends like made me really mad. He like did something that seemed intentional to me, and I don't know if it was or not. It was a long time ago, but I remember feeling so angry for the first time in my life that I like ran at him and like pushed him. I had never, but essentially it felt like he broke a rule. He did something intentionally to hurt me. And I was so like, and this is why I remember it so clearly, is because I was so angry for the first time in my life that I like felt like I had to lash out or get revenge on him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that to me, I remember like that was anger coming online for a little 9-year-old Jason, right? Like that was part of my emotional development. At least, what do you think when you hear that?
So many things. I think for me, it's kind of an unfair question because I just always have been consumed with play or art on some level. I am sure I put my Barbies on trial. Like I'm sure that happened. Like I'm sure I had them all standing up and like there was some crime or like there's some drama with these two people.
Goodness.
I had like this secret bookshelf door where I like kept my. So I think like Secret Garden was a big thing for me. Like,
yeah,
I could just be in my yard. We were lucky enough to have a huge yard growing up, and like I didn't have to run into my parents for hours, and I was just consumed in my world, whatever it was.
Oh yeah,
very witchy, making potions. I remember making love potions. Always trying to wrangle my animals in. Poor guys.
Yeah. Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. But it reminds me of like my friend just a couple weeks ago, like talking about her toddler. There was just a moment they had where he wanted to do something and she said like, no, we can't do that. We have to do this. And she overheard him going to his bedroom and then talking to his stuffed animals and like talking to the rabbit or whatever and being like, mommy hurt my feelings and she's really mean and so it's like we just naturally have this thing where we're going to play out our emotions because that's how we get to process and understand things. So
yeah,
it's very cool.
Wow.
Yeah, Jason, now that you guys have helped me remember things, I remember that in school you could clock the kids that you just did not want to play with because they wouldn't honor the rules,
right?
Or they were being too serious about it, depending on like what the activity was, and they couldn't find the flow in one way or another, and so then it would always be that like, oh, I don't want to. I hate playing with Bob over there. He's always such a downer, or he doesn't like get into it. And so it just brings it down. But then also, Lise, you made me think of me and my cousins. Like I think the opposite like of you is there was a shit ton of girl cousins that I'm surrounded by on my mom's side. And we would play Barbies all the time. Yes. I loved playing Barbies. I'm shocked that I came out, as a homosexual because mind-blowing. I did these, intricate outfits and the hairdos. And yes, like I remember one of my cousins, especially, I think actually Aaron, who I've given a shout out to, was always kind of a brat. And me and my cousin Kelsey, we'd be really serious about like, we have these stories going on and these conversations. And then Aaron just like come in and run us over with a Barbie car or something like that. And we were always like, that's not fair. We were in the middle of something like it. So it is interesting how it kind of like makes you look at the systems that you create in play that you don't as a kid realize are systems.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
That's a great story.
These are really fun. So like we're reminiscing, right? Going down memory lane and remembering all these fun things. But yeah, that's really cool. But Lisa, I know you mentioned this, like the Venn diagram, the crossover between creativity and play. But another sort of theorist, Donald Winnicott, said that it is in playing and only in playing that the individual child or adult is able to be creative and to use the whole personality.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, I love it. I agree, obviously. Yeah. No notes for Winnicott.
No. Yep. No, perfect.
We talk about that in art therapy too, but in play, it's bilateral stimulation. You're using your whole body, like hiking or biking, rock climbing, all the stuff. But you are regulating, you're using some sort of symbology or metaphor, and you're usually making meaning. So like with your body. And so there's
Yeah.
body brain integration that way. So I think, I don't want to speak for Winnicott, but when they're talking about using the whole personality showing up, I really
Sure.
think that's like the whole brain. All the systems of the brain are online and they're starting to resonate together in that
Mhm.
integrated way. So that's what I think. And I can see that too in the playroom and I feel it with myself too. And I'm totally as free as I can be is when I'm playing,
Yeah. There's so much crossover too for me in the theater world. Like I remember a lot of the early training that I had in acting was about that being in your body. It was about moving around on the stage. It was about physicalizing the character, right? Creating a tempo, creating a stance, creating a walk, creating mannerisms, things like that. And when you're engaged in and so present to your whole body, you start to be able to access the character's feelings, the character's thought patterns right? And you've got the words on the page. And so then you don't have to come up with stuff to say, but it feels like it comes from a more natural place, which is crazy to me. But that crossover between theater and that early acting training and a lot of the work, the mind body work that I do as a therapist is, I mean, it's very clear that that it would make sense, right? That we're able to access those different things in the therapy room, just like I would in creating a character on the stage.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll talk about one more. Stuart Brown, founder of the National Institute for Play. His research links play to empathy, adaptability, and lifelong mental health. He also has a TED Talk. Play is more than just fun. I can see like adaptability, like that's the piece, obviously lifelong mental health, right? I hope I'm 90 years old and I hope I'm still playing with my grandnieces and grandnephews or, whatever, that kind of stuff. But also the adaptability piece, like that's the piece that stands out to me. Elise, any thoughts on the adaptability piece?
Yeah. So when, it goes back to learning too. When we're playing, we are practicing and trying things out. And the quickest way that we learn is when we make a mistake, actually. Then our neurons know, okay, this way doesn't work. The way that I did it doesn't work, so I'm going to try another thing. So it's through not getting it right and experimenting that we learn more quickly. And when I think about adaptability, I think about being adaptable to all situations and things that are going on.
Sure.
And the more that you learn what you're capable of and mastery and things like that, the higher your self-esteem is, the more adaptable, the more resilient you are to stress.
Yeah.
The mental health part comes into that as well. Like when you have high adaptability, high flexibility, your mental health is better. I think the first term on that one was empathy as well that you mentioned. And with play, the mirror neuron system comes online. It's really like monkey see, monkey do. And when you see somebody do the thing in your brain, it feels like you're doing the thing. Like some people have higher activated mirror neuron systems than others. So like some people, when they watch a movie, it really moves them, and when the main character is going through the thing, it feels like you're going through the thing. So you might be crying, you might be angry, you might be scared. So that happens in play as well. And the stronger that is, the more empathy that we have for other people, the more pro-social skills, all that stuff.
That's awesome and fascinating. Again, I think about my adaptability in terms of like my own learning curve. Like if I am anxious or worried about attempting a new skill or something, a new project, a new whatever it is, and I'm much more prone to, I don't know, judging myself for making a mistake or shutting down if it's not going the way that I hoped it would go or that I, was planning on it going. But if I'm approaching it with a fun mindset, with a playful mindset, I am much more willing to navigate those mistakes and just screw it up just for the fun of screwing it up, just to try it again. Right. So that really resonates with me. That's how I think of adaptability in that way.
Awesome.
Let's talk a little bit about, and we've been sprinkling this in as we've gone along, but why play matters psychologically. So Elise, I know you said it literally builds neural connections, especially in childhood.
Yeah.
It supports emotional regulation. it regulates our brainstem and supports problem solving. Do you know a little bit about that? I know one of our common gurus is Bruce Perry, I think, right? Are you a Bruce Perry fan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's done tons.
Is he related to Katie?
I hope so.
Maybe.
That would be so great.
I hope that would be amazing. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I love his cover of Teenage Dream.
But he is known for research around the brain and how the brain actually functions.
Right.
And so we're talking about emotional regulation, regulating our brainstem. Like, Elise, could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, and one thing Bruce Perry talks about too is like, he's known for trauma work with
Right.
children, but, people who've had childhood trauma have worse health outcomes later in life. Kids that have trauma will have a higher resting heart rate, will have higher blood pressure,
Wow.
weaker immune system, things like that. But basically, because play is learning, it's resiliency based, you're getting healthier when your mental health is better. Your physical health is getting better
Okay.
when your mental health is better. And
So
I
the
think
more
for a lot of people,
emotionally,
the
more emotionally regulated you are, the more physically healthy
Yes,
you are.
yeah.
Is what you're saying. Yeah.
And I think
okay.
that idea is like coming more online these days, but I still think that's a pretty radical idea for a lot of people, that like our mental health is completely 100% tied to our physical health. When our mental health is better, we are physically better.
You're right. I mean, that mind-body connection, obviously, as we know as therapists, is undeniable.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that is entering more of a common culture, because it truly is, when one is healthier, the other is healthier, right? We can't neglect one in favor of the other. That just doesn't. It's just not going to work. I feel like that's the underlying lesson that a lot of my clients learn, is they can't just stuff their emotions into a box and continue to function, right?
Yeah.
But then they also can't spend all day thinking about their emotions, because then their lives are, they just become logical, or they just become sort of, I don't know, flat, or whatever the case might be.
Yeah. You talked about regulating and things like that. So just, in the playroom, but this also extends to everything. Repetitive, rhythmic motion is something that Bruce Perry talks about. But so like jumping on a trampoline, swinging on a swing, rock climbing, hiking, knitting, things that are repetitive soothe our brainstem. And that helps us stay in that. You guys talked about polyvagal theory a couple episodes ago, but that helps us stay in the right place with our nervous system activation, so we're not underactivated or overactivated. So play will help us upregulate if we need to, if we're low, or downregulate if we need to, if we're too high. So we're in the right window of tolerance area for our bodies to be the healthiest they can be.
Okay. So what I'm taking away from that statement is everybody needs to play every single day.
Yes. Yeah. And you may do it naturally. I'm sure that you guys might do it naturally. Singing is a brainstem regulating thing. That'll be prescribed by some therapists too. It's beyond.
Wow.
First, it forces you to deep breathe, right? To sing in your car. Well, that's what I do. I know you guys are singing all the time.
I sing in my car all the time, every day. Yeah.
You have to take the deep breath to then do the next part of the song. And so that's prescribed by a lot of therapists, to be doing these things that cause you to do the deep breathing or the other stuff. But that's just one example of it. But playing with sand, clay, things like that are soothing to our limbic system, all of that. Dancing.
That makes a lot of sense. I was thinking music and singing is very rhythmic. It's tempo based.
Yeah.
And I mean, sure, then you include regulated breathing in that, and singing. It really regulates me.
I think it's cool. The first rhythm that we hear is our mother's heartbeat. That's really cool. So that's what is it? 80 beats per minute. That's the resting heart rate. It's really cool in some of Taylor Swift's songs, Sean. I'm
about to be outnumbered right now.
There's a resting heartbeat pace on some of the rhythms, which is really cool. So
yeah, she utilizes heartbeat a lot. Yeah.
Does she really?
Yes.
Oh
yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. That's actually that's really cool. I didn't know that about her.
Mm-hmm.
Is she good? Is her music good?
I'm not going to acknowledge that nonsense.
No, Jason, it's awful.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's why
That's why we're
okay.
obsessed. Yeah.
Right, exactly. All right, let's mention a little bit more about why play matters psychologically. It allows for the safe expression of vulnerability, fantasy, and inner conflict. That's interesting. I don't know that I would have. I know it kind of goes back to what you said, Elise, about like we need to feel safe enough to be able to play. But I think also, like, if I'm thinking about my clients who have difficulty with things like vulnerability, I think if they were playing, if they were even co-regulating, if they were singing their way, if they were rock climbing their way through some sort of difficult emotion, like they might be able to access it better. They might be able to feel safer expressing it. Is that what your experience has been?
Absolutely. It makes me think of like going to a Smash Lab, right? Like we're really angry about something. We're not going to punch the person in the face, but we have all of this pent up energy that we need to get out. You had mentioned like closing the stress circuit, kind of.
Yeah.
Like that is the thing. We need to move our body in a way. And there's also symbology there. Like if you want to think about the person, why you're breaking the thing at the Smash Lab, you can. But especially with kids too, I'm thinking about the safety of the metaphor. So I will have kids all the time that cannot talk about the thing that happened, in a narrative, verbal way. They're too guarded for it, but give them a stuffed animal or puppet and they will act out the entire scenario.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear the stories that you will share in our consultations or just your experiences, and like how powerful that it is for them to be able to actually express some really messed up, dark stuff that they've experienced. And you help them make sense of it, and also help them have permission to express it. Like that's such a gift.
Yeah. And I feel like it's an honor that I get to be a witness to it. It's like their personal play that they are putting on, and I'm there to help facilitate it. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel a lot of our work, I feel that way about, but I would imagine, especially with children, it's got to be at another level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't have the words, especially the really young ones that you work with.
Yeah.
And so like you're helping them find them through action in the play, in the sandbox, all that good stuff. It's so cool.
At least you might have put this into the notes. But Sean, you just said it. Toys equal words, play equals language. Kids don't necessarily have the language grasp at those young ages, right? But they can use toys and play to demonstrate those things.
Yeah. So when kids are young, they are just modeling. They're learning, they're absorbing their environment. And I think I talked about it earlier, but like the way that they are integrating and learning by those synaptic connections is through relational learning. There's not the verbal language stuff online yet. That comes later. So I think, especially with play therapy, we'll sometimes get kids in that, it's really frustrating for parents because it's like, Johnny's biting, Johnny's hitting, screaming, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, yes, developmentally, that's what they're doing because they don't have the words for it yet. So the acting out is the only way that they're learning how to express themselves. So it's a really natural, normal way that this is how we're learning and communicating with other people at that age.
Yeah. So when kids are misbehaving in ways like that, like it's not because they're a bad child.
Right. Yeah. Right. Not intrinsically bad. Nothing about who they are as a person. This is normally development and how they're communicating.
Yeah. Okay. And so it feels like, well, maybe I'm inferring, or maybe this is buried somewhere deep in my brain, but what play therapists do is help them identify and express those feelings in different ways other than biting or hitting or whatever it might be.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. I like that. I'm also interested too, like I still work with teens, adolescents, and some of these things I employ, but not all of them. board games, role playing, art, music, movement, and even choosing stuff like that or outside of that we might associate with younger children. This was something that you mentioned, Elise, I think maybe in our note. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so like the activities you just mentioned, those are ones
Mm,
that we more associate with teenagers. Like
sure.
a lot of kids will say, playing is dumb, playing is stupid, I'm too old for that. And that
I do a
yeah,
lot of art with
yeah,
teenagers. I'll just color or we'll draw or paint or whatever. And sometimes we'll even just listen to music while we're doing that or even while we're chatting.
yeah. So play is still the language. The words have become different.
Mm,
The words are the board games or the art or the sand or whatever else it is. So there might not be pretend play or builder set or
sure.
things like that. Legos are huge for some of my older
Yeah.
kids. But a trend that I'm finding interesting is I have a lot of older kids and teenagers that are wanting to do play that they might have done when they were younger, like
Hmm.
Mm.
4, 5, 6, 7. And if you would have told
Really?
me maybe 10 years ago, past foster care, you're not working with every single person that has complex PTSD, you're going to have 16-year-olds that are going to be doing pretend shop play and making, grocery store. I would have been like, no way. Like, they're not going to do that. Like, they're going to feel too old or grown up for that. So I think one of the things is play is super regulating, and kids are naturally drawn to the things that regulate
Yeah.
them. I think
Yeah.
that kids are super overwhelmed these days and maybe missing out on playtime. And also, I think there's kids that are getting more confident in being themselves without judgment or shame. Like,
Mm,
I
I
don't know
love
if I
that.
would have done that when I was a teenager, you know.
Yeah.
I think maybe I would have felt too much judgment about it, but it's a cool thing to see for sure.
When you were talking about that, Elise, I also have to imagine not only does it feel safe, but the control.
Yeah.
I think that comes from you. If you're playing, you get to create the rules, the
Mhm.
narrative, how the characters interact,
Mm.
and how engaged or not, and who's good, who's bad, who's neutral, whatever.
Yes.
So I imagine that also feels really nice.
Yeah.
And then I feel like every episode I say this, but I also think the internet has
Yes.
normalized
Yeah.
so many things
Yeah.
that, like, for example, stuffed animals.
Yes.
Like,
Mm.
I
Huge.
still love stuffed animals as a 41-year-old.
Yeah.
And I find comfort in them. I cuddle with
Mm.
one every
Mhm.
night,
Mm.
maybe a couple of them. And they make me happy, and it's really cool to have that. So I love hearing that. But also, I kind of wondering, Elise, do you have theories as to why you think maybe that's being embraced more? Like, I have a couple of thoughts, but I want to hear yours first.
Yeah, I think the trend is that in a lot of ways, kids are overwhelmed and overbooked.
Mm.
They don't have downtime to just play. Things are super structured or parent supervised, where there's a right and a wrong, or you have to do it a certain way, or there's a production at the end. So it's not just free play roaming without
Mm.
any goal.
Mhm.
And so I think that's part of it, is like they are naturally, organically putting in the pieces where they need to go, where they see their gaps. And it's a really natural thing to just fall into something that you need without even knowing why you need it. And so that part is really cool. I also think something you said, Sean, about like the power and the control, I think that's a big part of it too. I think there's processing happening for those kids
Mm.
because I'll have kids that are taking turns playing store or shopkeeper, and they'll be the cash register person and tell me that I have to wait, or like I have to put this item back, or I'm on the phone, you have to wait, I'm talking. So it's really like these are
Oh
the
my
hilarious things in play
gosh.
therapy,
I
right?
love that.
But that's like maybe the moment where they get to process feeling like the control that they want, or feeling like an experience they had where there was a lack of control, right?
Yeah.
And that's the cool part. It's like the verbal therapy that you guys do where you process and process something until it doesn't bother you anymore. It's happening in the
Mhm.
playroom. It's just with the toys.
It's so funny how playing grocery store is such
Yeah.
a universally, like, I remember loving
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when my cousins had, the whole setup with, the conveyor belt and the little, fake scanner and all that stuff, and, the plastic foods and whatnot, like how I don't know, like the imitation of adult behaviors. It was another form of dress up in a way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's their rehearsal.
That's so cool.
I was going to say on a deeper level as well that like you guys in every single session are practicing play, even if you think you are or not, because you are constantly attuning and reattuning and repairing with your client. You're tracking, you're mirroring, you're shifting. You know what I mean? So like it's constant
Modeling.
Yeah, it's modeling. It's constant improv. And like we know like the therapeutic change that happens in therapy is the relationship, right? So like, the stronger the relationship, the
Sure.
more that they're going to be meeting their goals, etc. So
Yeah.
the stronger you guys are in tune with the here and now with whatever's happening for the client, the better it
Yeah.
is. So like you guys are practicing playing every single day, you know.
Wow.
So I'm a registered play
Yes.
therapist. So
Unregistered play therapist.
you don't know
It's a
that.
whole,
You know
whole
who I'm
other
registered
category.
with.
That's a whole other category.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. At least I'd never thought of it that way, but it is, I guess, constant improvising, constant like tracking and shifting and deciding what's important and what's not important. And it's improv. Yeah, that's a really kind of powerful idea. One other thing, I'll just mention this, like when I'm working with adults, I've actually prescribed it. I'll say suggested it, that they go and do something silly, nonsensical, body-based, really just for the sake of having fun, right? For the sake of playing. And a lot of times it has maybe a longer meeting or something connective or explorative in terms of like what they're working on. But whenever I suggest it, it's really just about getting out of their head, getting out of the logic or the thought-based approach that a lot of times we take as adults, and just getting back into their bodies and seeing what it feels like. You guys do that too?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Specifically with adults though, like is that a thing that you feel like you prescribe?
No, Sean's
No,
only talking about his imaginary child clients. Yeah.
With my stuffed animals.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Like, hey guys, wanna go have fun?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I very regularly in sessions with going, so what's something fun you're doing this weekend? Or what are you doing this weekend? And then I gauge their response and go, okay, I don't hear a lot of like excitement or joy in that. So is there something that you could really lean into, look for that could elicit that for you? And that's really important to me, that especially with I think most people are feeling right now in the world, we need play, we need escape, we need joy. And I really bring that to the forefront because you just can't sit in the muck and hope that it gets better. You really do have to engage with things that can liven us up.
Yeah,
I like that. Cool. All right. So let's summarize a little bit. Let's just talk about some key takeaways and maybe introduce a tool or two that people can maybe walk around with and think about or use in their daily life. One of the things we talked about, play is not a luxury. It's a necessity. It's biologically, developmentally a necessity, and it helps regulate us. And when we neglect it, it can impact things like our creativity, our resilience, and even our physical and relational health. So making time for it, making space for it is really important. And it can be lots of different things like we talked about. It can be singing in the car. It can be doing yoga. It can be building a cardboard box fort. It can be lots and lots of different things. But making space for it is actually useful and healthy. Play builds the social brain. So for anyone listening that has children, it can help us learn how to read cues from other people, body language. It can help us learn patience and how to take turns. And it can help us develop empathy as well. This is something that I talk about. You guys can weigh in on this too. The use of screens with kids these days obviously is way, way up, right? Higher than it's ever been. And the suggested amount of screen usage is very, very low in comparison to how it's being used, at least in Western culture. But one of the ways that I talk about it with parents, just to kind of illustrate the impact a little bit, is children are missing out on all of these tiny little micro learnings by having their face in a screen. They're not learning how to read things like facial expressions or body language or social distance or relation. Like there's all sorts of like little
Teamwork.
team. I mean, the list is endless, right? But even just moment to moment, second to second, there's all these little micro learnings that you're not allowing your brain to develop the synapses to link up. And so that sometimes when I explain it to parents that way, they're like, yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. What other things? What other kind of learnings do you feel like, I guess, not having your face in a screen can help us with?
It's just important to like remember that our brains were not evolved to be on all the time like this. I think you guys talked about it in the burnout podcast episode maybe, but like the amount of information that we're exposed to, the amount of scheduling that happens, the demands that are put on us, adults as well, but especially kids. Like Sean, you and I like might be the last generation that had like a normal childhood before smartphones and like internet was really mainstream, right? Like we still had to deal with dial up. So like we like we still got to grow up with like sticks and, you know, play outside and stuff. So the kids are not getting that these days. So I think this is the missing piece. And I sent you guys, might have been a polling that happened, maybe the Harris poll. I'm not sure which one, but kids want this. They're asking for this when they get a variety of activities to choose from. They're like unsupervised playtime with other kids, you know, so.
And tactile, real,
in the real
things.
world, not the digital world. I think kids, and it talked about on the polling, I think is like online is the time that they get unsupervised play with other kids, just unfortunately because of whatever the circumstances are. So I don't think that means they necessarily want it. I think that's kids putting a Band-Aid on. They're not getting unsupervised play and they need it. So they're going for screens, but
well, it's easy access and you can do it anytime.
Absolutely.
And so parents are like desperate.
Yeah. So convenient. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's stimulating, but not necessarily in like the best or healthiest way.
Yeah, just a lot of dopamine hits, but not like whole brain learning. I think that's probably also another entire like podcast episode just on screens.
Yeah.
Cool.
And whole brain learning. Like that's not even a phrase that don't know that I've heard before, but it makes total sense in this context.
Yeah.
One other kind of takeaway, this one, I don't know that we talked directly about it, but this one really resonates for me, that when we reclaim playing especially as adults, that this can heal shame. So people who kind of grew up or who were told or were kind of modeled out of things like they were told like they were too much or they were too silly or things like that. Like this is something that I feel like if I think back to, again, like early college and like my theater training, like this was something that I learned how to lean into, and it really was healing. The ability to play, to be foolish on a stage with other young adults, other humans, it helped me overcome some of those early criticisms that I had about needing to set an example for my younger brothers or things like that, right? You guys have experience with this? Like how play can heal shame? I don't know. It really stuck out for me.
What it made me think of when you mentioned that, Jason, was I, not that long ago, watched, I think of as like a mini video clip about Nintendo's evolution in their advertising and how, especially with the Wii, which was really about not just with kids, but family, but then with the Switch, there were several commercials where they showed adults playing like famous celebrities playing these games like Animal Crossing or Mario Brothers or whatever. And I think that like it's a great way of normalizing. We all want to play. And I think that does minimize and hopefully eradicate shame on some level, because I think seeing that in people who are in their 30s, 40s, whatever, also really helps you go, oh, it's not just a thing for like gamer bros or just like the stereotypes of what gaming and gamers can be like. And so that's just at least one piece of it, but it shows that it doesn't have to just stop when you get to a certain age. That was like a message I would see in movies growing up, is like you turn 18 and you get serious and it's all about relationships and having fun at parties and this and that, instead of cuddly, silly, imaginative fun.
Yeah, my hope is that we kind of continue towards that trend. I feel like a lot of us maybe more so now. I don't know. I mean, I know I talked about like part of me is still 10 years old, and I think I learned that lesson growing up, but I do start to see it a little bit more, that people are willing to, and maybe there's continued to be more and more forms of entertainment too, right? Into the 21st century. Like we've introduced this into sort of Western culture or whatever it is. And so a lot of us still like to play. We want to play. We want to have fun, right?
That speaks to, at least I want to give us a high five just because we're the two here that are millennials, is now that millennials are coming up into management roles and taking big positions in that way. I think a lot of things are showing like we're driving an interest in play. Like I feel like most of the people I know and talk to who are around my age group, we're not bashful about our love for play. We're not like ashamed of it. And I think I don't know where that came from. I don't know if it is because we did, like you mentioned, Elise, we had the mixture of most of our lives having this analog experience of play. Yeah. And then the internet introduced some of these new experiences, but it was later in our development. So when we see younger generations not have that experience in the same way, I think that it has really pushed for play and joyful things and nostalgia in that way to be at the forefront of things that are being created, products and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're spot on, Sean, because like I'll have clients that come in, over the last 10, 12 years who don't know how to play. It's anxiety provoking or how to tolerate boredom. So they don't know how to entertain themselves. And then that becomes a huge problem later on in life if you can't reconcile that, right? So I think it's probably, I hope that the uptick goes back down, but I think there's an uptick after the pandemic where kids lost out on a lot of social time of play, especially if they were like 0 to 3 during pandemic.
Yeah, that actually tied back to what I was thinking about. I don't think I got to ask you earlier, Elise, is when you mentioned about how teenagers are wanting to play some of these younger games. I was going to ask if you thought the pandemic and what it did for development and all kinds of things, if that may have been a major influence in that.
Yeah, I think I will see both sides where kids don't know how to play and it's frustrating. And unless something has like purpose to it, it's stupid. And there's no intrinsic value or joy because they haven't done it before. They haven't tried it. So they haven't built those parts of their brains up on this stimulation is a good thing. It's not just a screen that's entertaining you. So I think that's like one end of it. And then the other end is like people are thirsty for the playing and didn't get it. So we're going to dive all in, and do it as much as we can and are not ashamed of liking baby dolls and stuffed animals and things like that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, millennials.
Yeah. No problem.
Keep on saving the world.
Keep on playing.
Keep on playing. Keep on playing. Keep on saving the world. I'm going to add in just one more back pocket tool. One more thing to kind of walk around with. It's a question that anyone who's listening can ask themselves, and I'm going to give it some context. When do I lose track of time? And so the context that I want to give is, this doesn't mean that you've just spent 3 or 4 hours on the couch scrolling social media. Like that is not losing track. That's not the kind of losing track of time that we're talking about. We're talking about an activity or something that you enjoy doing, that where you enter that flow state, which is something it's been studied in psychology, but it's also something that's really big in like the sports world. And then also, I mean, all sorts of hobbies, like you can enter this state where you are just in it and in the activity and not really thinking about anything else but exactly what you were doing. And it's enjoyable. You're losing track of time in an enjoyable way. So if you're looking for an outlet, and I know, Sean, you like to use the hot and cold kind of metaphor, right? Where do you feel a sense of lightness or joy or connection? Or where do you feel like it's a chore, or I don't want to do this, or it's uncomfortable, like those kinds of things, right? So we're really looking for the lightness and the joy and the fun. We're looking to get back to play. And so where do you lose track of time? I think it's a great question to ask yourselves. Where do you guys lose track of time?
I mean, I think for me,
Yeah.
gardening for sure, painting.
That's great.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about this, Jason, and this is honestly your fault, is playing Legend of Zelda
Oh yeah.
on the Switch. I don't want to say how many hours I played Tears of the Kingdom, but I loved every fucking minute of it.
Mm.
I could stay there forever, and usually it was, oh, it's a really insane time in the morning. And I haven't gone to bed yet. So, I mean,
all
that,
night
you know,
long. Yeah.
yeah. And that's definitely one of my favorites, is when it's just like this full, beautiful world, just,
Yeah.
just there for me to have fun in.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely share that. I think being in water helps me like lose track of time. Like I can just, it's a sensory experience. I'm moving my body. It's relaxing. It's regulating. I'm, paying attention to my breathing and all of the sensations, and like that in itself, like I could just be in the water for I don't know how long and just enjoy it. So yeah, cool.
Now that you say that, Jason, I'm like sensory play,
Sensory
water,
play, yeah, some kind of
working with clay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Are you guys ready for a unhinged story time?
Sure.
Oh,
yeah. All right, go ahead. Give us a story.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
I called my mom earlier today to like double check the details that I was right on this.
So this is a special story about play
yes.
that Elise is about to wow us with.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
I hope that you love it. I think that you will. I think that you're going to be like, oh yeah, that tracks. Okay. So this is like 6-year-old little Elise doing her thing. And we are at my brother's baseball game. And so like, as one does, it's like Sandlot, like in the 90s, like we're just running around doing whatever, getting in the mud. And I come across this dumpster with my friends, and I think there's probably a conversation like, oh wow, that's cool, or like I wonder if we could climb that high, or whatever. And I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I was a big climber. Like I was getting on everything, getting into trouble, right? So I'm sure, I can't recall the exact conversation, but I'm sure I was like, yeah, let me do it. Hold my juice box. I'm going to try. And I climbed into that dumpster.
Yeah, you did.
But then here's the thing. I couldn't get out. So I got stuck in the dumpster. And I think at that point, the kids, maybe I was screaming, I don't know, but I was like, I can't get out. But so the kids are like, oh. So then somebody goes and gets my mom, like, Elise is in the dumpster. Can you come collect? Can you come collect your kid? Oh my God. So, anyways, I guess people still talk about that. Like the other baseball moms with my mom, like, oh yeah, you remember that time Elise was in the dumpster? I was like, oh gosh, that totally tracks. Like this is on brand for me. But I thought
and
you're
guys... like, that was 30 years ago. Let it go.
No, you are the ultimate garbage pail kid.
Yes, yeah, a literal, trash panda.
That feels like the truest thing I've maybe ever heard from you.
It is my badge of honor now. But just more evidence that I was a big climber as a kid.
Yeah,
that's
getting
great.
into trouble. I'm sure I learned a lot of stuff during that playful moment. I learned my limits and when I need help, how to ask for help, all the things. So
all kinds of things that you learned.
That full circle.
That's a great story.
Yeah,
that is great. Thank you for sharing.
You're so welcome.
Let's do our favorite thing. Is the secret question.
Oh.
Okay. Sean, did you prepare one for this week?
Me? No. Yes.
What?
I was going to ask, and I don't care who goes first, it's directed to both of you, is what was your favorite activity to do during recess when you were in school?
Ooh, we played tag. That was our big thing. We were not supposed to run, and we ran anyway until we got yelled at. And then when
you weren't supposed to run?
No, I went to Catholic school. The nuns were not cool with us running on the playground at recess. But then we learned how to walk quickly, and then we learned how to we got around the rules, or we'd play on the outer edges because there'd be 70, 80, 90 kids out there all at once, and so we'd play on the outside of the crowd. And yeah, it was fun. It was tag. Wow. That's what we played at recess. Yeah. Good question. I like that.
That's fantastic. I did, I forget what it's called, but it's I feel like it's called Shark in the Water or something, but it's it's basically on the big toy, which for people that don't know, there used to be these big toys that were in the the recess area where you could climb on, and the floor was lava. Like you couldn't be on the ground at all. You had to jump from place to place, and there was a shark in the water, so they would tag you so you had to like keep away from them, but you couldn't run around. So it was pretty fun.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah, it was intense. It was parkour for
Wow.
sure. Like,
What about you, Sean?
what about you? Yeah.
Well, I would say like the one that we probably played the most was kickball. Like
Nice.
we didn't have God bless my grade school that is no longer around, sadly, is that we didn't have like a playground. We had marks, like they did do like a hopscotch, painted setup. We also had Foursquare, which was also kind of fun, but we did not have equipment. We did not have a full, like what I see now with most kids in their schools. So it really was about having the balls and the bats and everything like that, and making do with that. But like kickball was always so fun, especially if like you kicked it far enough and it like hit a car windshield in the parking lot, and it just made you feel like you were like, whoa, look how far that went.
So powerful.
Yeah. And also just like the feeling of kicking a kickball is so, I think, rewarding. Like there's just something about it. Like
You're right. It's pretty satisfying.
The sound, the pong, like
Pong, yep.
It's a great sound. So
We
and
all-
also, I
think we all had the same kickball growing up, didn't we?
Oh,
We all had
yeah,
the
I hope.
red
The red one with
rubber.
the-
Yeah.
Yep,
Mhm,
yep,
yeah.
yep.
Mhm.
And I was gonna say also, like, I mean, we didn't have as many good hiding spaces because literally it was just a wide open parking lot, a church parking lot that we shared with the school and the church. Is that we all hide and go seek? I just feel like is always a fun one, and also red light, green light.
Mhm.
That
Ooh.
one,
Yeah.
we loved playing red light, green light. So
Yeah.
anyway, those are just a few of those. But
Yeah, super
I
fun.
know recess. I feel so bad for any kids that don't have that, or I think even the minimization of it. And I also, we need to just have it in our days. Like recess is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
Yeah.
Nice. Good question. I like that one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thanks.
How about some shout outs? Anybody feeling like they want to have some gratitude for some stuff? Call out some really fun things? No, we're all just gonna,
I have nothing to say.
Yeah. No. Okay. Well, I'm going to start then. And I'm going to shout out Elise for joining us today. It's super amazing of you. Thank you for being brave and doing something maybe outside your comfort zone. But you've got a ton of expertise, girl. I mean, so much knowledge and background around this kind of stuff. So don't ever hide that light, is what I'm telling you. It's amazing. Thank you so much for
Don't
joining us and for sharing.
I won't make myself small. Thank you.
Yes. No, that's great. And then I had one other one, but I can't think of it right now. So you guys are going to have to go, and then I'll plug it in at the end.
Okay. Do you want me to go?
Yeah, sure.
Elise? I just want to give shout outs I wanted to shout out my parents. My mom recently came down and visited for a few days.
Mama
And
Linda.
She's Linda. And she's just the best. She's the best. And I love getting to spend time with her. And I also, as I get older, realize how lucky I am to have that time with her. So thanks, Mom, for just being awesome and for all the laughs and good times and always making me feel like her little boy, like no matter how old I am.
Cute.
She takes me back. And then also I just want to shout out my dad, because he was truly the original person that I played anything with, and he like you mentioned with your family, Jason, he did all the great the voices and things like that, and I mean, he just engaged it in the best way. When he was down to play, it was always so much fun. And I think I've mentioned before, like when my dad could go on field trips, like other kids always loved playing with my dad, because he's the one that pushes you highest in the swing, and it was the one that just, I don't know, he's super fun. So I love you, Dad. Just want to give you that shout out.
Awesome. I like that one.
I am shouting out to the lake because it's helping me get through the summer. So hot.
The one lake
Yeah,
that exists.
Just the one lake, Beaver
one.
Lake. Yeah.
Our lake.
Yes. It's helping me get through the summer. But shouting out to my parents on the same vein, Sean, because they helped me play as a kid and be really goofy, and we're not didn't take themselves overly seriously. And
Mm.
that's a really great thing. And my dad would get these just ridiculous presents for everybody on Christmas for stocking stuffers. And they were usually loud and super obnoxious, but it was like a gag gift. It was great. So little moments like that, I think, help me be a better play therapist.
That's super cool.
Mhm.
That was the other thing that I had was I've learned to play differently.
Ah.
I'm trying out pickleball right now,
Oh, yeah.
and it's actually super fun. So I'm shouting out pickleball and my husband for being willing to try out pickleball together. Neither of us has ever played before, and we've done it now once or twice, and it's actually really fun. So
Love it.
I recommend it. Go play pickleball.
Yeah. And obviously,
time.
shout out to you guys for just having this podcast. That's fantastic.
Aw.
Talking about
thanks,
important
Lace.
things. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Mhm.
I think we're going to leave it there.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. And I seriously did. I learned a ton about like just how play affects our brains and our
Yeah.
development and all those sorts of things. So again, appreciating Elise Lunsford, registered play therapist supervisor, for being with us today.
Also, this is a reminder that Collect Your Thoughts very first book club pick, I Don't Believe in Astrology, A Therapist's Guide to the Life-Changing Wisdom of the Stars by Deborah Silverman, will be discussed on our September 2nd episode. So if you'd like to read along with us, we will be gearing up for that. And if not, you have an episode to hear our thoughts on it.
All about a really interesting sounding book.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, thanks everybody for listening and watching. And we are going to remind you, as always, to pause and
Take a deep breath.
And collect,
your
your
thoughts.
Yeah. Yes.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.